Hey everybody, it's Chris. I wanted to make a follow-up on my previous video where I explained a bit about this Metasounds for a custom weapon fire. And I wanted to dive into it a bit more and test it out and kind of show off how everything works. So last time I went through all of the different parts of the Metasound, where we have controls for the sound designer set up. We have a first-person perspective and a third-person perspective. And so we want to be able to test out these different perspectives in a multiplayer game, be able to listen to each perspective and just kind of check it out, see how it all works. So when I wanted to replace the current rifle fire sound with my custom Metasound, I had to figure out where it was set up, where it was hooked up, so that we could go ahead and test it. So I went and found the original Metasound, and if you right-click on them and find the reference, you can, it will eventually lead you to this GCN weapon rifle fire blueprint. And I opened that up and found that the actual Metasound is in this trigger fire audio node, which makes a lot of sense. It is in the on burst of the gameplay queue for the weapon rifle fire. So that all seemed legit. And if I go into the trigger fire audio, what it is doing is it is checking to see if an audio component already exists. If it doesn't exist, then it spawns it, and it spawns the sound. The sound comes in. That's how the sound is actually played. And then it eventually goes on to these two, this is what I have added, to execute trigger parameters. Back in our Metasound, we have these two triggers. One is called trigger 1P, one is called trigger 3P, and that is how those are fired off. So whether or not the audio component exists, if it already exists, then the sound has already spawned, and we can just go ahead and start triggering the different triggers. And so how do we figure out whether it is trigger 1P or trigger 3P? That is this little part where we get the local role of the actor that's coming in. We're seeing what type of role it has. It is a simulated proxy. So we know it is not the main character. It is, we are checking whether it is the player that is actually playing or if it is a third-person remote character. So it is set up to be a simulated, it will check to see if it is a simulated proxy and then go to, if it is, then it'll go to trigger 3P, and if it is not, then it'll go to trigger 1P. So that is how these different triggers are fired off. This is where the Metasound is hooked up. So if we wanted to test this out, I have gone and just created a basic level with the kind of shooting range set up, the firing range, where I have different markers set up for every 10 meters or every 1,000 units. So let's see what we have here. So I have my multiplayer set up. I'm going to position my first character over here on the 10-yard line, 10-meter line.
Close.
Now, have I set up amazing sound design to test this weapon with multiple layers for mech, punch, and bass, and with different variations for close, far, and mid? No, I have not. I have instead done some very basic,
Close.
just voice samples, just for testing. It also is going to make it a whole lot easier to actually tell what we're doing, as opposed to interpret different firing sounds. So the way we're going to set this up is I am going to solo this client, and I'm going to run around on this client, firing off remotely. And if I get close to the character, I should hear close.
Close.
That's me. And the farther I go away,
Close. 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 Mid. Mid.
it will eventually transition to mid.
Mid. Mid.
and then very far. Me yelling far off in a distance. So, and I'm not going to fire too much because I'll eventually run out of bullets, but as I get closer,
Mid.
it'll transition to mid. So,
Close.
and eventually close. So, what else can we do? We can set up, I'm going to bring up my audio debug here. Actually, I'm going to start this over real quick so I get my bullets back. And position my guy back over here. And this goes here. And we'll solo this one again. Now, bringing up my debug, we can see, like, we can just watch the character's footsteps right now. You can see the distance that pops up over here, and you can see that when you are around the 10-meter line, it is around 1,000. I guess if I need to position this character directly on the line, and it'll give us some values. So for the weapon crossovers, just to bring this up again, this is what I was going for, the different distances. The close is already faded in at close. From 1,000 to 2,000, it fades out. Mid fades in from 1,000 to 2,000. It will fade out from 3,000 to 4,000, and then the far gain will fade in from 3,000 to 4,000 and stay on. In this example, I don't have attenuation set up just for the purposes of testing, and that means we can hear the character at that farthest distance.
Close.
So let's go back here and test out. Now, watching the distances over here, you should see that it matches basically the crossover points. So we said around 2,000, it'll cross over into mid.
Close. Mid. Mid.
Now you're starting to hear the mids. And then we said from 3,000 to 4,000, it would transition from mid to far. So let's go.
Far. Mid. Close. 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 Mid. 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 Mid.
All right, and if I fire with this character,
Close. Close.
it's going to be close, because it's always close to that 2D, or sorry, first-person perspective. All right, so this gives just a test, gives us some data, gives us confirmation that the crossovers are working correctly. We can test from a separate multiplayer perspective. We can check the distances as we go, and we're verifying that the triggers for first person and third person all work correctly. So next thing to do is actually to put some great sound design in there and test with our weapon fire sounds. But for this round of just testing and debugging, makes sure that everything works properly. All right, let me know if you have any questions or any suggestions on this approach down in the comments. Let me know. Thanks a lot.